Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hustle Podcast. My name is Jordon LeBron, and this is the podcast focused on educating and connecting entrepreneurs. Today, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mr. Trevor and Travis Bowie. And today, we are also joined by Miss Ankita, who is an author and aspiring fintech entrepreneur. Ankita, welcome to the show. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here. I never imagined this day is going to come, so I'm very excited.
Well, listen, we're just here to learn more about you and to find out what industry, you're in and just find out all those interesting topics. So do you guys want to start with the question?
Well, I just want to say congratulations. I'm happy that you're here. We're excited to have our first guest.
Yeah.
Ready to break the ice a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready too. How you feeling, Travis?
Good. I'm happy that you're our first guest specifically. We're really happy to have you here. And so first, we just want to start with giving you a chance to tell the audience kind of what you're about.
Sure. So I'm Ankita. I'm actually an international student from India. It's been 2 years since I came to America to continue my higher education, and I'm also a writer. I have published a book. The name of the book, it's a fiction, The Perfidious Game. It was published in 2019. It's been 4 years, and it wasn't a huge hit, of course, but it was something that I started with, and I'm really proud of it. I also am a writer, a freelance writer, and an aspiring entrepreneur.
All right.
So what is your book about?
Oh, okay. So my book was The Perfidious Game. So the name was very tricky to come up with. It's not the common words that you use in your everyday vocabulary. And there was a lot of thinking going behind that. Me and my friend, we sat down and we kind of thought about it, like, Google searches, like, what should be the name that pops up immediately, and doesn't have a lot of searches going on. So that's what we came up with. And so the book was about, so it's a thriller. It was supposed to be a thriller. I wouldn't say it's very original because, I was a child. I wouldn't say it's very original. It was, of course, influenced by a lot of fiction that is already out there. It was based on a camp and then murders, and the main character is just like investigating murders, and then there's flashbacks. So I'm not gonna ramble a lot about it, but it was a little thriller.
I have to read it.
Yeah, I'd have to read it too. It sounds kind of interesting.
It is. It's definitely interesting, but again, I want to emphasize on that it's not very original. I wouldn't say it's something that was my. And it's not because, and I am a firm believer that, everything is influenced by one thing or another, right?
100%.
On this. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I created the book. I was like, okay, I need to start somewhere. So, what should I start with? And then I started thinking, and it just came to me naturally.
Well, awesome. I mean, how long did it take you to write that book?
It took me about, It took me about 2 years. I was very inconsistent first 1 year, and then I was like, I had the idea, and a lot of idea was like improvised, okay? It wasn't like, I sat and like, I decided the whole plot and then I just went for it. It definitely wasn't like that. It was, a lot of writing and then reading it and then scratching it off and then rewriting,
lots of rough drafts and everything like that.
How many total pages do you think you wrote that you ended up scratching off?
So originally I think the book was around 300 pages, which I condensed into like around 160, 180.
Okay.
Because now it's been like 3 years, 4 years, and I've not really looked back, I've not really read it since then. So I don't really exactly remember how many pages there were, but it was a lot of pages I had to discard from the book, not appropriate content but it was something.
So have you done much since you wrote it for like promoting and sales of the book?
So my idea behind, writing a book was just getting started.
Okay,
I wasn't
100%.
like looking for,
sense.
I wasn't looking for money. I wasn't doing it for, like to get famous. It was just like a project for me, towards self-discovery. It was like, I need to do something. I need to like, before, and it was, so the book was like before I turned 18.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how old you were.
Yeah, so
That's so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, okay, it's something memorable. I'm gonna look back when I'm 60. I'm gonna look back and I'm like, okay, yeah, I did something when I was 18.
Well, and the fact that you were able to take those images that you had in your imagination and turn them into a real story is something that's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So how have you achieved, entrepreneurial goals as an author? Because you are an aspiring entrepreneur too. So how can you apply that to, your other entrepreneurial, journeys and projects that you work on?
That's a very interesting question. I remember when it was my first semester here at Ohio University, and I was part of Ohio University Entrepreneurs. I still am. And we had a guest coming in. I think he was an OU graduate, and then he was a writer as well, and then that's how he got into entrepreneurship, marketing and stuff. That's cool. And his statement, it's still in my head that I'm a writer and hence I'm an entrepreneur. So like being a writer was like a very big part of what he was, because it gave him a vision. He said that if I can write something, then I'm definitely gonna make it happen. And it stuck with me, and I've been writing since forever. Since I was a kid, I've written poems. I used to publish it on not publish, but like post it on Instagram, Tumblr. Those old golden days. When art was really appreciated. So it was me. I was one of them. I was a part of so many communities, like writer communities. We used to empower each other, share our ideas, participate in anthologies, and like various book events and everything. Yeah. And it was very welcoming community. And, that's how I found myself, that, writing is something I'm really passionate about and I should be doing it more often. And, it led to a discovery. And, coming to your question, how it connects with entrepreneurship is when I started doing freelance working. And it's disclaimer, guys, my journey with freelance writing was rough. It was very rough. Yeah. I started working with a friend, and then, whatever work I got, it was all through someone. Yeah. I never got any clients on my own. Yeah. Which was like a biggest, setback for me. And it wasn't until like last month that I didn't get a client, last month was the first time I got a client on my own.
What happened last month?
Oh, so I was on Fiverr for over a year.
Yeah.
Love that website.
Yeah. Trying to...
What is Fiverr?
Freelance platform.
Yeah, it's a freelance platform. Yeah. And I was in there, and I posted my work gigs, and I wouldn't get any clients because whatever is popular that sells there. So
those freelance platforms are super competitive.
They are so competitive.
I'm sure they are.
Especially when it comes to like services like content writing, marketing, it's super competitive because there are always better alternatives right there. And so I was on it, and I wouldn't get it. And then this past summer I joined Upwork, and I was like, okay, maybe I don't know. And Upwork is another platform, freelance platform, and I did it. I got my first.
Well, there you go.
What was the gig?
Oh, so it was working with like a YouTube,
channel.
Yeah, just like helping and writing their script
writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and that's how I started with like that was my first client. That's how I got my first client. Or everything everything else before that was like through someone. It was like it was through my connections. Yeah. But it wasn't really my own.
Right.
And
I bet that's such a rewarding moment.
I know
when you've done all that work through people and then you finally get that first inbound, if you will.
Yeah.
We should have her write one of a blog on our website.
Oh, that would be actually really, really great. I mean, another project for you, another client for you.
Yeah,
that's actually a
make that 2 freelance clients.
Because,
my God,
because right now it's just us that's going to be working it. So a real writer would be great.
Yeah, I would love to. You can count me in.
So when it comes to those clients and like working with them, and you mentioned something about fees. I can't remember exactly what you said, but what does it cost to get yourself like published, or like what does it cost to become an author? Like what sorts of fees and expenses do you have to pay in order to get on those platforming websites or to get those clients? Like how much goes into that?
So I think as a writer, we are as like a human being, we are existing in times which is like so convenient.
Yeah.
We have everything on our fingertips, literally you just type everything and you'll find it right there. And that's how I found, like, you don't really need anything. You don't need to, like, put in too much effort into like all of that. Literally use Canva to create a cover for your book. That's what I did. I used Canva to create a book cover. Then, the writing format and everything, it's pretty much, I
use all those free things to your
advantage.
Tools are
there.
Yeah.
Any free thing, any free tool that's out there, I use that to formatting, Grammarly for, like, correcting my grammars and everything.
Yeah.
Editing, and I help. I got help from my friends and my family when it came to, like, reviewing my material.
Yep.
But I utilized all the free resources that was out there. I did not really. I wouldn't say I invest anything in it, except my time or my
great.
brains and
That's
everything.
great.
Yeah, and so my publishing was through Notion Press. Notion Press is it's like a publishing platform. You just publish. So they have different kind of plans. They have like plans with like marketing and publishing as well. But I just selected the publishing plan, which was free.
Nice.
I didn't pay anything. They everything was done through them. I uploaded the book, they reviewed the book, they decided to publish the book, they stocked the book on demand, so everything was on demand.
So they just did everything.
They did everything.
Yeah. That's
And they
interesting.
added it to Amazon and on their website. So if anyone wanted to purchase my book, they can just go on their website or Amazon. And
By the way, we'll put the link to the book.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
100%.
we will put the
Everywhere.
link to the book.
It's going everywhere.
for our audience who's viewing
Should've
us.
said that
We will
up
put
front.
the book link.
Sure.
So has technology made it easier to get involved in not just like writing in general, but freelance and all those separate things that get into writing? Has
Yeah.
technology made it a lot easier for writers to achieve
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
what they're looking for?
I mean, if you're looking to just start to get something out there, just to create an identity out there, there's so many free services out there, free platforms, out there you can use to do that. For example, even with Amazon, if you want, like, a big name attached to your book or like whatever your piece, you can just go to Amazon KDP services and they do it for free as well. You don't have to think about, where I'm gonna print those books, where I'm gonna store them. You don't have to think about it. You just upload your material, they print on demand, they do all the selling it and everything, delivery, everything is covered. And
So the process is simpler than
it's
a lot of people
so
think.
simple. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, being resourceful is such a skill in today's world.
Yeah.
You have so many resources out there, and you just have to, like, have that mindset that, I can, like, utilize them and I can make something out of it.
Well, and I would definitely think utilizing a lot of those tools, as you mentioned, and everything like that to your advantage that are free and free to use for everybody.
Yeah.
Using those to your advantage, it makes it a lot easier to put your name out there and easier to get published.
So I'm curious, because I just have to ask, because I've thought about potentially writing some of my own stuff, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder at all, but writing books, mostly like nonfiction educational books, is sort of a far-reaching goal that I have for myself, kind of long-term. But I don't think I could ever bring myself to write multiple hundred pages. I think I would try to do like voice to text. And I've heard of a lot of people that are trying to get their feet wet with writing using the voice to text. Have you ever thought about doing that? Did you do that at all?
That's an interesting
when you were
concept.
writing?
Voice to text.
Yeah, so like you open up.
I feel like my thoughts aren't organized enough to.
Yeah,
really,
that's what
right,
I was
exactly.
thinking,
Okay, so here's the strategy, because I watched some YouTube videos on it and kind of made some notes and a strategy. You basically have the whole like outline for the book. Like, so you would outline it, you'd bullet it out, right?
Yeah.
And so you might have like 12 chapters, and you have like 5 different topics or like things to talk about in those 12 chapters. And what you do is you just hop in your car, or go to your room, whatever, and you whip out like a Google Doc or a Word doc, and you do like the voice to text tool. And so you just go into chapter 1, and you'd have your 5 points. And the first point would be about blank, and you just start talking about it. And so you're not really it's not going to be verbatim what you speak, but the goal is to get words on the paper.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you paraphrase things, reorganize, cut stuff out, add things in, different stuff like that.
So the idea is to get your thoughts onto the phone while they're fresh in your head, and then go back and edit them. Like
it's basically just a way of expediting getting your thoughts down,
right?
And then kind of going back.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I do that, but I don't really use voice memos. I just use notes. So
sure,
whatever. And that is a very good point. As a writer, I have a lot of things going on in my head, and there's you never know, when the creativity stucks you, it just happens.
So I guess
you can be just walking around and it happens.
I guess my next question is what sort of mindset does it take for you to get into to start writing another story or to do some freelance writing for people? What kind of mindset do you put yourself in when you're going to go do another project like that?
I'll tell you. So when I was strictly an author, when I used to write, poems, I used to write, short stories. I wrote a book. I was strictly, I was confined with the space of creativity.
Yeah.
I was focusing on what my what my story can do better, and what I can add to it. That was my creative process. It wasn't I wouldn't say it was very. I'm lacking words, but it's ironic. It's very ironic, but So the thing what I'm trying to say is that it was everything was from creative perspective.
Okay.
It wasn't I have to do it, so I'm doing it. It's not like that, right? But when it comes to doing freelance work or writing as a ghostwriter.
So you write for the Post right now, right?
Yeah, I write for the Post. I have also written for the Backdrop magazine.
I guess moving on, something I'm really interested in is this fintech that you're very, very interested in. I do have a lot of questions for you when it comes to that, and I'm sure you guys are just as interested. Could you just go over what exactly fintech is and what that industry really specializes in?
So fintech is basically financial technology, and I was last summer I was interning at a firm, Smash My Trash. I was an economic analyst, and
Did you like it?
It was fun, but it was a small company, and
startup.
It's like it's a startup, and again, there was limited number of employees, and there was a lot of conversation, a lot of interaction, and then a lot of interdependency.
Yeah.
When it comes to work, and working in a small business is such a good experience. Everyone should be experiencing, and
thank you.
I
agree.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
There's so much beauty in startups.
You understand how much it takes to actually work with people, and you are not just involved in one decision. It's everything is.
It really is a team.
Yeah.
It's not just the infamous saying, you wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
Exactly. It really is.
Well, I think, and just in talking about small business, with us three, we are a team. Really, back to what you said, we are a team. We interact with each other every time we meet about the hustle and the hustle brand and everything that we're doing with it. We all meet up and we're all sharing our own ideas. It's not all of our ideas are basically a game of telephone going between thousands of people in a giant company, and I guess that is really the beauty of it with our company specifically. It's just we're working between the three of us to make everything that you see here happen, and that's the important thing.
Exactly, and you have to show up when someone else is not there, right? So I think so that's what I was doing there, and I learned a lot. I was involved in a lot of financial planning, and since it was it was a startup, it was just growing, and I was more we did not even make profit. We weren't even making profit. We were not even breaking even. We just we were on the stage of transitioning from the startup to growth and make profit stage. And it was a lot of I got to know about that's how I started having this passion for finance and understanding how small businesses can benefit from so many services. And I'm still I still don't know, what exactly I want to do, but I'm definitely researching. I'm definitely, putting myself out there and experiencing, making connections, networking, understanding what could be done. And recently I was introduced to this very intelligent human, Amy. Her name is Amy Webb, and she's a futurist. And their job is basically finding out trends, like
different like demographical statistics and stuff like that.
Yeah, like no, not that way. Like just like what is going to happen in near future.
Okay.
What needs to be done? What is like something that's going on metaverse? What's something in Web3? What is something in financial services that we are lacking?
Yeah.
What is something in any industry? So basically, that's what her job is. She's an American professor. She is a professor at American University, and so her job is like just looking at those trends and like analyzing. And I think
cool.
That's
very
a
cool job.
Yeah, and it's so I was introduced to this report, and it's like 500 page or long something, and it has so much information about what we can do. And what we can do when it comes to like strictly entrepreneurship. What can we do? And that's what I'm trying to do, to learn more what is lacking in the industry, what I can do. I'm also part of this externship. I'm part of this externship right now. It's AI deal sourcing. It's through a venture capital firm.
Okay.
And
interesting.
I know, it is very interesting, and I love it. It's so getting to work with experts who are actually analyzing those trends and helping entrepreneurs identify problems and create solutions. I think that is so nice. Cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
So you initially got interested in the space from the internship.
Mm-hmm.
You made that connection, and that kind of got you to the next step, and now you're starting to get a little bit more narrow on specific areas within fintech.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds basically you're kind of in like a discovery, like trying to just learn the ins and outs of the market and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of where you want to play and kind of where you want to contribute.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about kind of how you're doing that, how you're networking with people, and trying to take that next step.
Yeah, definitely. So, my process has been just about, I had this very wild thought about emailing Neha, and wait, I'm forgetting her complete name. She's the founder of Oscillator.
Okay.
Yeah, Apache,
Yeah.
Kafka. So these are like companies she has founded. She was formerly a LinkedIn employee, and she's actually, fun fact, she's from the city I grew up in. So we grew up in
there's
the
a
same
connection point right
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Email her.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna email her. I'm gonna ask her to like take me aboard. Make me your pet or like whatever. I just want to know about the industry. So that is so important. Like putting yourself out there. Like I was discussing this with one of my friends, and she was like, oh, but would you want to work, do an unpaid work, or like, just for the experience? Because you shouldn't be. You should be getting paid for your work. But I was like, okay, I am thinking long term. I'm thinking about, creating those connections.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm looking to,
And that's more respect to you,
Yeah.
because, and I think it's an interesting theme in our conversation here is, you're an aspiring entrepreneur, but you're talking about all these different work experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of early young adult entrepreneurs might shy away from taking work opportunities early in life because they are kind of centered around the whole idea of like, I'm an entrepreneur. I should be starting businesses, not working for them.
Sometimes you gotta be in a business to understand the inside of it before you
1,000%.
Before you can start one yourself.
I've had 2 internships since I was a senior in high school, and I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I'm just now getting to my first startup that I'm building.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wanted to say that, if you're an early entrepreneur looking at the cameras, take on those work opportunities, because that's how you get the experience. And I would specifically, I've had my internships and work opportunities with startups, and I think I would definitely recommend that, because you do get to see the ins and outs of how you build a good startup or how you don't. And so I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from being 2 phone calls away from the CEO of a startup, and seeing his or her mistakes and also what they're doing well.
Yeah.
And so
no, great point. I 100% agree with that. I think you have to understand how operations work inside before sometimes you can establish your own business.
Yeah.
Even if it's unpaid,
even if it's unpaid,
1,000%, I would take that up.
I mean, like if you are in a situation where okay, I mean, I can rely on my parents right now, so I don't have to worry about money, so I can step into something which is uncomfortable, which is not paying me enough, but it's fine, just because of and I'm looking at long term.
It'll pay off.
It will pay off in long term.
As long as you learn something from it, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. The outcome should be something, and the outcome could be learning. That's all.
And connections. I mean,
and
especially if
connections.
it's with a high achieving individual in the space.
Yeah, in the same space that you want to
the connections that are going to trickle from that.
Yeah. So moving on. So you mentioned some services earlier, but I was just curious. So what are some of the potential services that a fintech company could offer customers, and what are some of the benefits that they could offer customers or clientele? What are some of those services?
So that's a very good question. I've always tried to make these connections. When it comes to financial services or any services, to be honest. What are different markets doing that American markets could do, or what is American market doing that different markets could do, different countries could do, and that has been my process, always. And now when it comes to financial services, I was more focused on, I had this conversation with Paul as well. I'm more focused on empowering people who who do not really understand finance. It's not in a way of consultation, but more about creating solutions which break down the thing. It's not there's this complicated process you have to follow to get this done. It shouldn't be like that. My parents they don't know English. My parents I'm a first gen. They've never been to college. So, they don't know this stuff, and they will never, if they come to America and they're, on their own, they wouldn't be able to do any of this. Which is so complicated, and we have immigrants coming to the United States every day. How are they catching up with all these, right? So my process has been making finance more decentralization. Okay, I'm
more decentralized.
Yep.
Okay.
Decentralizing.
I gotcha.
Finance. So I'm sorry.
So what are
I love that, though.
So I like that too. So what are some ways that you've thought of to decentralize that financial industry? Have you come up with any sort of entrepreneurial solutions for that?
No.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
I'll get there someday, when I have things figured out, when I can for sure have enough market research out there. So
basically the first step is market research, just understanding those trends and really getting to know the market and the niche that you're in.
So really that was what my thinking was, when I've come to Trevor several times, about the same thing.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. We'll get there someday, but right now, as I said earlier, I've been reading a lot of I've been reading a lot of trend reports, just thinking about what can work, what cannot work. You always have these ideas. I had this amazing idea about capital investment, how people who are below a certain if you see there's always a kind of people that invest in companies. There's always a kind of people. The group is pretty small. But how can you democratize it, That's what my thinking was. And I always wanted to, I want to create a solution for it. But again, what kind of solution? I don't know. I know what the problem is. I just don't know the solution.
Here's a slightly curveball question. So as we said, you're kind of in the research stage, trying to identify, where you can be helpful to other people. And it sounds like you're starting to get a more clear picture on exactly kind of the role that you want to play. Have you ever thought about crossbreeding your writing skills and marrying that with whatever problems that you identify from your research in fintech? Because clearly you're passionate in some pretty specific ways within the fintech industry and helping people, decentralizing, as you mentioned.
That's an interesting concept.
I wonder if you would be able to, I'm just spitballing, brainstorming, but you're clearly obviously talented as well at writing, and you've written in a lot of different platforms, channels, ways for different people and things. There's got to be a perfect mixture there, a perfect formula.
I think you have just given me a very good idea. So I might, see, there's the pencil drop right there,
He only wants 10%.
Okay.
Just give me a
Trevor,
seat.
you have it.
Just give me a chair.
Yeah. But yeah, I will definitely, I mean, see, there's ideas flowing around every day, and you have so many ideas.
And that's why we do this podcast.
Yes, that is why we do this podcast.
We break this shit down.
I know, right?
Sorry.
Censor that. But yeah, I love that. And I will definitely think about it. I love the idea about working.
There's got to be something there.
I mean, yeah, there has to be something. It's just,
Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It'll start to the ideas will start to emerge.
There is a lot.
From what I've learned,
I mean, this is like the first time I'm thinking about it. So I might, if I think about it for a few days, I'll kind of come up with something. So I'm excited about that now.
That would be an interesting concept. So I guess my next question would be, why fintech? Why that specific industry? Why how does that like work for you? Like how, why is that something that you really want to get into? Because it's really it really is an interesting industry, and it sounds kind of very, very complex. So just why that industry for you?
That is a very good question, because I don't have any programming background. I'm not a programmer. I don't even have I mean, I have basic knowledge about Python and stuff like that, but I'm still creating my skill sets to actually work in the be a very appropriate fit for the fintech industry, right? So I don't really it came to me because I know financial services has been a very a soft topic for everyone. It's something which all of us experience. If you see in India, I was born and brought up in India. And what we have in there, all our financial industry, it's basically what we adopted from the West, from America, UK, or whatever. And it's appropriate now, but I mean, it's not appropriate, but I would say it does the work. But again, not everyone is benefiting from it.
Yep.
So
not everybody can understand it.
Not everyone can understand it. I know that. So we don't even have a elaborate how America has elaborate a credit card system. We don't even have that in India, because exactly. There's so much we can do. When it comes to investment that I was talking about, capital investment. If we have shares and I know half of the people here, not half, but there's a good percent of the people who buy equity in companies, who invest in cryptos. That's not happening in India. That's not happening in different countries, that have, I mean, there is a good percentage of people who are doing it, but again, I want to influence a population that has historically not been, benefiting from these services.
Well, and I would say also it honestly just depends on, no matter what the country, it depends on their different economic standards that they have over there. I mean, India is obviously a poorer country than America, which is the sad thing, but that's just their economic way. So they have to find, different solutions to implement over there. Exactly. I guess that's what your task is. So just out of curiosity, so have you come up with any ideas for a fintech startup yourself? Have you started developing a company idea for yourself or a brand for yourself to start implementing some of these problems that you're having and implementing solutions that you're thinking about?
I wouldn't say that, but I have been talking to many people, a lot of my mentors, and people I know, people who are already established in those industries. I asked Crystal to connect me with one of the entrepreneurs she knows in the financial
I'm sure
industry.
she knows people.
Exactly, she knows.
For the audience that doesn't know, Crystal Geyer, and she also mentioned Paul earlier. I don't want to leave him out because you mentioned Paul Benedict and Crystal Geyer. They are the two directors of the Entrepreneur Program, basically Center of Entrepreneurship for Ohio University. which is where all of us kind of hang out.
And go to school.
Hang out.
Get our education. And hang out.
I just go and hang out there. I know all three of us go and hang out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's who those two individuals are.
Yeah. So my basically it's still like, I told you market research. I've been just trying to learn more about the market. I'm trying to understand. I have ideas, but how I'm gonna. It's mostly like it sounds very good in theory.
You kind of gotta learn the industry before you can start implementing some solutions and coming up with them. Yeah,
exactly.
I can see where you're at.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm starting from like ground up. Everything from just learning about what kind of markets are out there, what things have happened in the past, what hasn't worked, or what we can do more.
Well, and I think Trevor could relate to it with his startup with OTech.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, with OTech you could relate to that, but I think all three of us could relate with the podcast. We had to do our research and see what if people here would be interested in it, as well as understanding the Athens market, as well as just like the social media market, and understanding if we could gain an audience from it and how to gauge that audience. We had to do a lot of market research for this as well. But with OTech, that's really interesting because of the industry it's in. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but I'm building a startup called OTech with my friend Drew Urbancic, who is also going to hopefully come on as a guest, and then our three engineers, Sean Kenny, Ryan Harbour, and Austin Goddard. So that's our core team. Yes, we have a tech company for organic farms. We build devices for organic farms. We found that opportunity from authentic research, literally. What's the word? Organic research. I guess
organic research,
ironically. But no, like we worked 250 hours on farms. Right? Like we interviewed 50 farmers. We went to conferences.
Wow.
So we really did it. We really got our boots in the dirt and really got in and actually did the research.
Got into them farms.
People working full time for like 6 months just to like identify what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a smaller scale version of that, and that's what you're starting to do.
Yeah.
And the beauty about that is once you've done that, nobody can take that away from you.
Right. Once
Even if
you've
an
taken the
opportunity
time to do
doesn't
it.
present itself or initially, like if we didn't come up with OTech, we still have all of that knowledge, all those connections. No one can take that away from you. It could be 5 years from now and an opportunity arrives and we still have all of that in our repertoire, And so it's really good that you're taking, kind of one step at a time and slowly building that.
Yeah. And I mean, and sometimes too, you kind of, after you do that research, you kind of just got to jump right into it, and you kind of just got to get involved in what it is. I know with this podcast, like we had like great ideas for it. And with our first episode, we kind of just jumped right into it and made do with what we had. And now we're here in a whole new setup in Schoonover Center here on campus. And we have a lot better equipment.
Thankful to be here.
Yeah, thankful to be here too. Thankful that we were able to get a slot in here. So we kind of are just building it up and learning as we go by doing it.
I was reading about this idea, like where a lot of people get stuck about over reading or over learning about a certain thing. Like after a certain point, it's great to get that base started, but after a certain point, the best thing you can do is just jump in and get started.
Get your hands on, man.
Well, we experienced that with OTech. We knew we had a good preconceived notion that there was going to be problems that we uncovered for small scale farms, organic farms, and those problems presented themselves like right away. And so I would say like the back half of our research period of time was just confirmation over and over again. And so we finished out our last batch of interviews and the conferences that we booked and things of that nature, and then we were like, okay, we're sticking our foot in the ground. We're ready to go. So we started, kind of brainstorming ideas from there based on our problem frames. Yeah.
And I'm sure the research that you did, it essentially relates to fintech and that industry too, just in terms of just doing your research and doing those basic things. So, Trevor, do you have any closing thoughts for the episode?
Well, I just want to say thank you, for coming on with us. Yeah. I think this was really successful. I'm really proud of what we did. I'm proud that we're in here. I'm excited for future guests. Again, congrats on your book and other freelance work that you've done. I definitely want to, keep working with you on the fintech industry. Of course. Just because I just like to, do entrepreneurship. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if I'm part of the company or not. Like I just want to help people. That's kind of what I'm about. Yeah. And so I'm definitely looking forward to, continue to work with you on it. Yeah. I think I'm just really happy.
All right.
With the conversation.
Travis, closing thoughts?
Also, thank you for coming on. We really loved having you. For the audience, if this is your first time watching a Hustle podcast episode, I want to encourage you to go back and watch our first episode so you can really learn like what we're about and about me, Trevor, and Jordon as individuals. But we're really happy to have Ankita on as our first guest.
Ankita, any closing thoughts for the episode that you'd like to, any last minute things you'd like the audience to know about you?
Of course, I'm so thankful. First of all, you guys are amazing. Whatever you're doing is amazing, and I hope you continue this. And it's I'm pretty sure it's going to be huge, and it's going to be really successful. My last thoughts are, let me think.
You just leave it at that.
Just leave it at that. No, I'm just joking.
Okay. No, I would literally do that, but I'm kind of trying to think. But my last thoughts are like I don't want to promote anything. Like I don't have anything to promote right now. But for anyone out there who's listening, just keep doing it. Just show up every day, and it's gonna just happen.
All right. Well, great. Well, some closing thoughts just for me right quick. Again, really appreciate you coming on. You made a great first podcast guest for us and a great first episode for the student series that we're running here on the podcast. So it was really great to have you on. And this has been the Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Jordon LeBron, accompanied by Mr. Trevor and Travis Bowie. And this has been Ankita on the show, and we're just really grateful to have her. So we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.